Hey everyone, it's Nicole here today for Simon Says Stamp. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm sharing a set of beautiful foiled cards using the July 2019 card kit. This video is a little bit late as my MINC foiling machine died mid-project. I was so sad. So even though it's late, I'm going to show you how I eventually figured out how to foil my backgrounds even though I didn't have my MINC machine anymore. These three custom cards are exclusive foilable cards included in the July kit. I do not believe they are available for individual purchase, but you can foil anything if you run it through a toner printer. So if you have some cute little prints, you can make all kinds of things. This awesome foil also is part of the July kit. So if you got that kit, you have the rainbow foil, the Deco foil, and shattered glass included. I am going to go ahead and turn on my MINC machine. And please remember that my machine here, it's big, and I don't think it was working great while I did this. It did foil perfectly, but it did die partway through. So I am actually going to be switching to the Spellbinders Glimmer system for my backgrounds, and I will show you that near the end of the video. So I am going to place the foilable card in my little transfer folder with the Deco foil, the muted side down, the shiny, bright, colorful side up, and then I'm simply going to run it through my machine. I ran it through on 3. So if you are using a MINC machine, I found this worked really well. I got a great foil. This is the larger MINC machine. I really do wish I had the smaller one. However, I have this large one here. Maybe I should invest in the small one because I think for video purposes, it would definitely be a little bit better, a little quicker too. But these custom foilable cards are really fun. So then I'm simply going to peel that up and look at the magic that is left behind. So any foilable cards that you have, you can create similar designs to what I'm sharing here today. So I am going to do this for all 3 custom cards that come in the July kit. For a couple of my cards, I opted to do something a little bit different. So on the big one there with the bees and the large flower, I just used a whole sheet of the shattered glass. For the remaining card or cards, I'm going to kind of mix and match and piece it together. And that's because I have some other foil that I have from another past Simon Says Stamp card kit. And I want to take some of this gold foil and I want to foil the bees with gold. So they are actually not going to be the rainbow shattered glass. The rainbow will be the rainbow and the sentiment will be rainbow, but I want the bees to be solid gold. So I'm just going to trim small pieces and just use a tiny piece of Post-it tape to hold that down just along the edge. And then I can run these through the MINC hot foil machine. And again, I'm going to cover that other little bee down on the bottom left. This works especially well if you want to change different or have different colors for different areas of your design. So if I wanted to do some of the words in different colors, I could have done that. In fact, I really kind of thought that's what I was going to do. And I actually opted to just foil the rest of it with rainbow instead of trying to piece it all together. And then I'm going to run that through. Again, it's a little bit slow, but it's coming through. We can work on getting the foil ready for our final card, which we're going to do exactly like we just did this last one. We're going to use little pieces of gold. This one's got a little bit of a texture or pattern to it, to the bees, and then use the rainbow paper, which it's a lot of blue for this background. That's just kind of how that rainbow shattered glass looked. and we're going to run our final panel through with that. Now, any little scraps left over we can save for future projects because there are going to be quite a few little rainbow scraps left over. Peel away the foil very carefully to reveal this awesome, awesome design. These are so fun. I love the way the foiling kind of refracts a little bit with the light. It looks amazing. Now these are beautiful as is. You can take these foiled cards and pop them right onto a card base and call it good. You wouldn't actually have to do anything else if you didn't want to. But I was really, really curious about playing with a product that I've had for a while and haven't used. And that is the Deco Foil Transfer Gel. And I am going to be using this with some stencils and then foiling my background. We'll go ahead and run our final foilable card through our MINC machine. And then we're going to take a look at our adorable backgrounds. And I wanted a kind of fun way to trim these down. Rather than just taking my paper trimmer and trimming these down, I opted to use the Simon Says stamp rounded corner rectangles and round the corners of all of my backgrounds. That's going to make these just a little bit more interesting, I guess. These are very simple cards for the most part. We're just foiling, but we're going to dress them up with additional little stamped and embossed phrases, the little black gel pen for the eyes, the rounded corner rectangles to trim down these panels, and then some awesome stenciled and foiled backgrounds, which ended up for me being the superstar of the show. I've got both black and white cardstock here, and I'm going to use the Simon Says stamp diagonal stripe and zigzag stencils. We're going to start with the diagonal stripe first, and we're just going to kind of tape it in place here. If you have pixie spray, that would have been even better. I had no trouble with applying the Deco Foil Transfer Gel with my palette knife just as is, but the pixie spray is phenomenal. I've had this transfer gel for quite a while and have never used it. Now I'm using a very thin layer. I'm taking the side of my palette knife and just very carefully and thinly applying this through the stencil to have really awesome design in the background. Work that all the way down, and make sure we cover every little bit. Because this is going to be on the background of our card, I definitely want it to go from side to side and top to bottom. Then I'm going to remove this and set that aside. And you need to let this sit and dry for at least an hour. I'm going to give you, in total transparency, I had intended to come back and foil this the next day. I had done this near the end of my work day, intended to come back the next day, and my MINC machine died. Would not come back on. And because of that, I put this project off finishing forever. Thinking my new machine was coming, it's not. There's been a delay, so I don't have it yet. And I was so super bummed because I was really loving how this project was turning out. And it came to me that I wondered if my Glimmer machine from Spellbinders maybe would work. And so that's what I'm going to share with you. I know that it's not really intended for this use, but if you're like me and you like to problem solve and find a way to take the product you already have and use it for something cool, I hope this will work for you as well. So these actually sat for probably a good 2 weeks. So they were really good and dry, since it really only takes an hour for that gel to completely dry. Now I am using those rounded rectangles to die cut this. I did go ahead and use the zigzag stencil And I did 2 of those, mostly because I thought one of them I smudged a little bit, and I ended up thinking, I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and keep it anyway. And I'm glad I did, because the imperfection of it really is kind of hidden in the foiling, and I don't think it takes away from the overall beauty. So there I used kind of the second largest, I believe, for 2 of the panels, and then for the third one I used the largest rectangle. And then I did stamp and emboss a whole bunch of sentiments from the Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words Encouragement, I believe, stamp set on black cardstock using clear embossing ink and white embossing powder. And then I am using the sentiment labels dies from Simon Says Stamp to die cut all of these little labels. So we can trim them to any length that we want, but this just is a really quick and easy way to get a perfect die cut little phrase. And these work so awesome with the foiled cards from the kit. Once I have my sentiments, and I'm using 1 each on a couple of the cards, and then I'm using actually 3 on my final card, there's a lot of white space, and I thought it would be really fun to kind of fill in with several sentiments, and it works with the foiled sentiment on that. So let's go ahead and grab our strips and trim those down, and then pop them up with foam adhesive. I always love popping up my little phrase strips with foam adhesive. This is fantastic foam adhesive, as it's these thin little strips. I use it for everything. I have loads of this in stock in my craft room just because I use it for everything. So this first one, we're going to center it kind of right here underneath Be All Right and behind the little bumblebee, and it says you're stronger than you think. So it says every little thing is going to be all right. You're stronger than you think, which I love. I think that's an incredible encouragement type card. For whatever reason, encouragement type cards have become my favorite because I think they work for so many different things. And I think we all can use a little encouragement in our lives. And so I love having these on hand to just send out to friends, family, even some strangers sometimes, just to say, hey, it's gonna all work out, everything's gonna be fine, keep on going. Next we have Let's Chase All the Beautiful Rainbows. This will be worth it, hang in there. So again, encouragement, but so bright and happy. And finally, for our largest foiled background card, I'm going to add the sentiments that say, you're incredible, in awe of you, hoping today brings you happiness, and thanks for being there for me. Very uplifting, happy, very, very fun. Now, once we have our little sentiment strips popped up with foam adhesive, and we've rounded the corners on everything, we are ready to grab our Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil machine. Oh, I'm so sorry. First, I did take Nouveau Crystal Drops in White Blizzard and add some sparkly wings to these bumblebees because they needed a little sparkle. Our bumblebees on the other 2 cards are foiled in gold, and these just needed a little something, I thought. So we're going to add the White Blizzard Nouveau Crystal Drops to the wings here. Just a nice thin layer, and this will dry within about an hour. Now we're ready for our Spellbinders Glimmer machine. And I tried one out off camera, and when it worked, I was so excited. So what we're going to do is take our background, take our beautiful rainbow shattered glass deco foil, and we are going to put the dull side next to the transfer gel side. and I'm just going to create a sandwich. So right or wrong, this is how I'm doing it. I've laid down my foil, I laid down my paper, I've got my shim, my spacer, and I used a piece of cardstock to help because I really think that just makes the sandwich that much tighter. And then I simply ran this through. Once this is heated up, I ran it through my Spellbinders Platinum machine, and guess what? It foiled that transfer gel perfectly. You guys, I can't believe I didn't think of this 2 weeks ago. I'm going to blame it on moving brain. I'm moving at the end of the month, but I was so super stoked to find yet something else that my Glimmer hot foil system does. So I hope that if you have the Glimmer system and you want to try some transfer gel, this might inspire you to make some really cool stenciled backgrounds. I'm going to take these foiled backgrounds now and attach them to top fold card bases. And I'm going to use that whole thing because I want it to just take up the entire background, be this beautiful foiled design. And then we are going to pop up our little cards here with foam adhesive. I've got some Scotch foam adhesive. I've covered the back of this, and that just pops up our foiled panel off of our foiled background and finishes these cards perfectly. Pretty envelope is the last thing you need, and your foiled cards featuring the July 2019 card kit from Simon Says Stamp called Be Yourself are all finished. Here is a look at the finished cards. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these foiled cards featuring the Simon Says Stamp July 2019 card kit Be Yourself. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel to never miss a card making video. Here are a couple more videos featuring Simon Says Stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.